Well, I returned the Tascam Model 24. Some of you guys have heard this story to death. You don't want to hear it anymore. But small catch up. I've had several of these. They've been lemons. Last year, I bought a used one from Long and McQuaid. I changed my mind and returned it to a store. Then I changed my mind again and went back and bought the same one from the store. I've already messed this up. It was new. I'm sorry. It was new, but it was a demo. It had no box. I went up to Guelph, Ontario. I bought just the board. No box, no manual. Brought it home. And it seemed fine. Then I changed my mind. I took it back to Long McQuaid, got my money back. Then I changed my mind again, and I went and I grabbed it, brought it home. Well, I had never used the aux yet. I had just not done any major mixing. You would use the aux 1, 2, and 3 as well as the submixes out. If you're running, out to external outboard compressors, tape sims, reverbs, etc. Finally, I find out the auxes don't work. And I'm like, okay, well, I got warranty. No problem. So I bring it back to Long and McQuaid, and they're like, no, this is used. You don't have warranty. I'm like, yeah, but I'm the guy. Like, I'm the only guy that's owned this. It's used by me. Oh, and by the way, the second time I went to buy it, it was freaking on its side on the floor. It didn't have any kick marks in it, amazingly, but it was on its side on the floor. That's why I'm dumb. I shouldn't have bought it. But it looked good, right? And it was, about $200-$400 off. So anyway, find out the auxes don't work. So I bring it back. I'm like, I got warranty. And they're like, no, you don't. I'm like, well, you suck, because you said specifically when I bought it the second time, oh, and you'll get your warranty re-up. The guy said that. Swear to God, go to my grave. The guy said that. Roll around to the time of needing that warranty. They're like, nope, it's used. You get no warranty, or you're out of your warranty. But then they graced me into one. So I paid $88. They graced me back into the warranty. They send this thing to Ericsson Audio, and they're like, we can't find the problem. And it's like, well, let a 5-year-old with a microphone show you, because all you got to do is test the auxes out and yell into the mic. So Ericsson Audio finds no problem. So they send it back to me. Lo and behold, they fixed the problem. So how do they find no problem, but they fix the problem? But then I find out I can't get aux 3 to work, and then the lights are dancing, and then it's squelching like a resonant synthesizer. It was just a nightmare. So Long and McQuaid, I make a big fuss. Finally, a manager calls me from up in Guelph. I don't know if that's a coincidence or if someone from that store had to handle it. I don't know why they were from Guelph, but nice lady calls me. She's like, well, what do you want to do? Do you even want this? She was fishing to see if I was just trying to return it. I'm like, well, I'll tell you what, I've got one carded in Amazon right now. And this is just like pre-tariff, so I could have got a good price right then. Had I just thrown mine in the river and bought one off Amazon, I could have got them, $1,500 to $1,700. So I'm like, well, I want one. I got one carded up at Amazon right now. She's like, well, would you let me find you a used one? I said, yeah, that's fair. Well, that took lots of weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. Now we're up to like 60 days. Well, the way they did the transfer of the used one from wherever it came to the store I picked it up in, it was called a store-to-store transfer, in which case they don't get an opportunity to call the customer. They didn't text me. They didn't call me. I just happened to be an hour and a half away from where I live. I just happened to wander in a store, and they're like, oh, hey, Tascam guy, your board's here. I'm like, what? I wasn't here for that. I was kind of wondering. Weeks had gone by. Well, now I'm an hour and some away from home, and I don't have my board. I've made 6 3-hour treks for this. Some of them only 2-hour treks, but I've run all over Ontario for this. Anyway, so I go get my board, bring it back on another day. They swap me. They bring this amazing specimen. It looks perfect. They're like, is this an acceptable used warranty replacement? I'm like, yeah, that looks good. And we went through the whole thing, except the 2 master outs, because that's too obvious. It's too obvious, that would not work. So I bring it home for 3 weeks. I've been using the control rooms out and the headphones. Mostly use the headphones out when I'm hunched over, tweaking and tweedling. And the right master does not work. So I called that store again, because this is my favorite store, and they're the easiest to deal with. And the guy's like, just bring it back, man. So I brought it back today. He's like, what are we going to do? I'm like, well, I don't know. Can you find me another one? Is it going to take 60 days? He's like, I'm just going to give you your money back. And I'm like, okay. Because now they are new 2,229 Canadian. And that's like tariff stuff built into there, you know? That's like Long and McQuaid not having any real leverage or negotiation power. Like, that's ridiculous, that price. You can still get them on, I'm not going to say where, because in case I want one. I'm not going to say where in case I want one, but you can get them a lot cheaper than that. This is just Long and McQuaid going, what's the price? Okay. Right? That's the Long and the Long and McQuaid purchaser. He calls up Tascam. He's like, hello, what do they cost now? And Tascam's like, tariffs and the glare off the ocean and, multiply by 3 for no reason. 2229. And the Long and McQuaid purchaser's like, okay, sounds good to me. Like, they just no buying power, no leverage, no negotiation, no strategy, no business intelligence. They're just like, okay, right? Like, maybe I should sell them to Long and McQuaid, because I can get one cheaper than that right now. Buy a long shot, a new one. I get a new one cheaper than that right now. Maybe I should supply Long and McQuaid Tascams, But and since I know they have no leverage, no business intelligence, no new strategy or negotiation tactics, I'll just go, hey, look, they're $2,500. And the Long and McQuaid guy go, okay, sounds good to me. Like, this is nuts. What are you doing? You're just gonna accept this? Why would this be tariffed? Is Tascam not a Japanese company? Am I wrong? Or is Tascam downtown Albuquerque? Right? I thought it was a Japanese company. Like, anyway, just classic Long and McQuaid. Why would their purchaser try hard? Anyway, so I don't have one, and I feel gutted without it. I've always owned a multi-tracker since I was like 15 years old. And I still own one, but it's at a friend's house. I got the Zoom L20. It's fine, but it's at a friend's house. So now I am just in the computer again, which doesn't feel great. I got a laptop there. I have another laptop that's a DAW. That one and another one. And then I've got my Mac Mini and my Apollo. So I'm just doing some Universal Audio updates right now, which is never a great thing. Universal Audio just updates so that they can figure out how they can draw your wallet out next. I'm probably done with them too. I'm probably going to get done with this Apollo. I know you guys have heard me say that before, but I'm not pleased with Universal Audio people either. Their software breaks on the Mac all the time, and then you got to go in and force kill it, and then update it, and then force kill it. And it's just like, if you guys don't, if Universal Audio doesn't have any respect for me, then I can't have any respect for them. I'm just going to uninstall, sell the damn Apollo, be done with that crap. All right. Anyway, I do have a Focusrite 18i20 3rd gen in the rack right now. I've got another Focusrite in another band's house, so I'm not without my interfaces and DAW options, but it's all computer based, and I never wanted that. I wanted to be hunched over a multi-tracker. I'm a big fan of Elephant 6 bands, Apples in Stereo, Neutral Milk Hotel, The Minders, Elf Power, that whole group, right? And that's all 4-track cassette. I don't just buy a 4-track cassette because, as we all know, the 4-track cassettes are coming on 30, 40 years, and you can't reliably maintain the mechanics of a 4-track cassette. You can't right now. You can't make sure the belts and the mechanics of the cassette player and recorder are going to be okay. Every time you press play or record play on a 4-track cassette, it could be the last time you press it on that machine. And I'm not talking in an existential way in which you could get hit by a bus. I'm talking that every time you press play or record play on a 4-track cassette, you could press it and the mechanics could just spring apart. Just, that's it. And I've seen it happen. I've seen dead Foztecs. It's a sad thing. Somebody suggested I go get a Roland VS2480. That's not a bad idea. I actually know where there is one at a pawn shop right now. That's what Johnny Cash used in his last days to do some of those American recordings for Rick Rubin. But yeah, no, I feel gutted to not have a multi-tracker down here. The fantasy was, like I said, hunched over with no computer on, hunched over a multi-tracker with no computer on. But it's so far, it's not to be. So what am I doing? This is not the greatest plan. What am I doing? Well, I'll just carry on with my album in the computer for now. I don't like it, but I'll grit my teeth and bear it. I'll do that. Here's plan A. And it's very flighty pie in the sky. Plan A is to wait for someone to come out with the next good tracker. I admit it will probably be Tascam, okay? They're discontinuing the DP32. If you want to know more about that, head over to Mike over at I Love Recording Studio. They ventured into the Tascam Studio Bridge. If I had a big fat mixing board and all the D-sub cables, which I don't, if you want to know more about that, go look up Warhart Arts on YouTube. Warhart Arts. He has the Tascam Studio Bridge, and he's got a great big, I want to call it a spirit board, but it's not a spirit board. You can go see his big mixing board. It's awesome. And he hooks it to a Tascam Studio Bridge. So Tascam is going in other directions. But they're getting rid of the DP32. Like I said, Mike from I Love Recording can tell you all about that. They still have the 24 Porta Studio. That's no good for me. And I'll appreciate you guys' suggestions, but a lot of you guys are calling out. You're like, well, just go get a Mackie or just go get a Presonus Arc. And I'm like, you guys are missing the fact that they don't have bolted on multi-track recorders, none of that stuff. There's only a few things that have bolted on multi-track recordings. We're talking about the Zoom R24, the R20, the R16, the Zoom LiveTrack series, the Tascam Model series, the Tascam DP series, the Midas 32, but that thing is like almost 3,500 in Canada. So you guys are tossing out good suggestions, but there's very few of them that actually multi-track. You know, Mackie will put out a gigantic board, and then they'll just forget what year it is, right? So it is the year 2025. Mackie will put out a board this year, and you'll be missing a bunch of features, and you're like, hey, Mackie, how come it doesn't USB all of its 8 pre's or 16 pre's to the computer? And Mackie's like, no, I forgot. And you're like, hey, Mackie, how come you just put out an 8 pre or 16 pre board and it doesn't, and it has an SD card, but it doesn't multi-track? And Mackie's just like, oh no, I forgot, right? Like Mackie is operating in the year 1998 perpetually, right? And then go, well, we're super innovative. And it's just like, well, how come you haven't innovated anything since the big knob? You haven't done anything good since the big knob, right? You've not innovated anything in 2 decades, Mackie. That's how far behind you are, right? And then Alan and Heath put out a thing. I put out a bunch of videos of how excited I was about it. And a guy from Alan and Heath actually commented. He's like, oh, well, actually, it doesn't multi-track at all. And I'm like, oh, were you drunk? Like, are you guys on drugs then? Or is it just drugs? Like, Alan and Heath put out a multi-tracker in the year 2025 and it doesn't multi-track. Like, they put out a mixer that it can do USB or SD or whatever it does, and it doesn't multi-track. Like, isn't an entire company huffing lead fumes? I don't understand how hundreds of people, like, even at the end of a business process, your lawyer, when he's signing stuff at the very end of releasing this brand new product, your lawyer should have looked up and goes, hey, dummy, how come it doesn't multi-track, right? So, yeah, the first board meeting missed it. You're developing this new Allen and Heath board. Your first board meeting missed it, and then your R&D missed it. For years, they missed it. Let's just say they R&D missed it for 5 years. They missed it. And then you have all these mini meetings, and no one is just like, hey, shouldn't it multi-track to SD? And he was just like, shut up. And then the janitor goes by, and he's mopping, and he's just like, hey, that new board you fellas are working on, shouldn't it multi-track on the SD? And they're just like, we're really busy over here designing the new Allen and Heath without multi-track to the SD. And years go by, just years go by, right? And there's testing, and it goes through other third-party engineers to make sure it's safe and it doesn't electrocute people, and and then they find out how it affects transgenderism in Africa for the Canadian market, because we tend to test a lot of products towards that, like based on that. And then, or was it, what was that one thing we taxpayers spend money on? Transgenderism on cabbage farming in Africa. That's a real thing. Look that up. But anyway, so you get through all that. You get through years of developing the new Allen and Heath mixer. It's the latest, greatest thing for 2025. You get through all of it. And the lawyer is the final guy signing lawyer documents. And they're looking at the manual, the technical manual. They're going to bring it to market. They got an MSRP price for it. They're going to bring it to Long & McQuaid. And the lawyer looks up and goes, hey, does it multitrack to SD? And a thousand people at Allen and Heath all collectively hit their heads and go, oh, 10 years, nobody thought of it. Oh, right? So, unfortunately, there's not a lot out there because these companies are really stupid and they don't know what we want. So, I think we use YouTube to tell them, right? It sounds absurd, but we have to go, hey, Allen and Heath, if you make a new board with an SD card on it, have it multi-track. You know, like it's the year 2001, right? Like just have some hindsight. Just have a little bit of awareness of what your customer's after. I couldn't believe it. This guy comments, he's like, well, actually, it doesn't multi-track. It's like, what are you talking about? Your 2025 mixer doesn't multi-track. Anyway, so I don't have this piece of garbage anymore. I've never owned 10 of something before and had 5 of them fail. In my life. I don't think I've had, if I've owned 10 number 2 pencils, all 10 of them, it's like I don't know of anything. I mean, I've owned 2 Dodge Grand Caravans and they're kind of crappy, but they don't let me down like this one does. Like this, it's absolutely Chinese, low quality slave labor, bad trash, garbage, low quality control. How does Zoom do it? I don't know, because of all the Zoom L20s I've owned, and I've owned a ton of them, none of them were defective. None of them did not. They all worked fine. They weren't the greatest design. They were also a company on drugs doing silly things with the design. But I didn't have quality control broken crap. So it's unreal. So don't buy this garbage. And the other lesson learned here is if a Long & McQuaid guy is casually standing by the register and he goes, oh, looks like you got a 1-year warranty with this. You need to take your phone out of your pocket, hit record and point it at him and say it again. Oh, looks like you got a 1-year warranty with this. Click, boom. Really? You got to get your Long & McQuaid guy on record saying it, because they will forget /lie / not know what they're saying. So there's my lessons learned. Long & McQuaid doesn't always tell you the truth when it comes to what warranty you have. And Tascam quality control currently is absolute trash. That's what I've learned. And the third thing I've learned is all these companies, Allen and Heath, even Behringer's guilty right now. Anybody that don't have, well, and Mackie's about the worst, any company that makes these big mixers, Soundcraft, that don't multi-track to SD card or USB card or external hard drive, you're missing the boat entirely. Get with it. Anyway, this has been Quest for Gear. I'm very angry.